Make sure you subscribe. This will be the first of many interviews with Sean and Andy.
I've been very lucky. We've had some incredible people, silver miners like Hecla, investors like Eric Sprott, institutions like Fidelity. Because they've gotten to know me over the last 20 years, they gave me $90 million. And they said, Sean, go out and grow the inventory. So with that $90 million, I've through acquisitions, through drilling, I've added about 100 million ounces of silver. So now we have about 150 million ounces of silver in the ground. Okay. And we're getting valued at around $2 an ounce in the ground because the silver price has almost doubled. But I still think we're going to get at least $4. But I will say to my friends and my coworkers, look, what $4 bought me in 2011 is not what $4 buys me today. So I actually think we might get 5, 6, 7, $8 an ounce in the ground. But the question that I have is how many ounces will we have in the future? Will we have 200 million? Will we have 250 million? And so look, that's the idea here. The idea is I want to grow the mineral inventory. And at some point, when it's appropriate, when people will actually pay us an appropriate price for the metal, we'll start mining it. And maybe it's not us that mine it. Maybe a larger entity. Maybe it could be our 15% shareholder Hecla. Maybe somebody else will decide that, hey, this is the next project that we want in our development pipeline. But
and they pay you $15 or $18 or 20, and that's the genius of it all,
Yeah.
Jordan. That's the genius of it all, you out there. What he's saying is he's building a property that has known and growing and rich resources that are unexploited and identified, and they drill it and they see it. They know it's there. They just haven't pulled it out of the ground. It's a giant gold and silver piggy bank.
That is so genius.
To say, this is what we want, and this is how you make money owning mining shares, either by them becoming a producer or selling to a big producer who does it for them. Either way, it enriches the shareholder. And you could argue it's a very smart way, keeping costs low for their shares and for their company, while at the same time identifying tremendous reserves and being a prime target for acquisition for those companies that are looking for that exact type of property in a known area that is rich in resources that they've identified. It's actually quite smart and quite a business model, if you ask me.
You own land right next to Hecla, right? Like adjacent?
Well, the real story there is Hecla invested in Dolly Varden, and then Hecla tried to do a hostile takeover.
I wanted to ask that question, but I didn't know if you wanted me to ask it.
And at the same time, another bid came in from another company called Skeena. So there was some competitive tension and multiple bids. And the reason I actually run Dolly Varden, the reason I came in as a CEO, is my friend. It was a bit of a David and Goliath situation. My friend said, you know what? I think we're going to get a higher valuation. I don't think they're, we're getting proper price discovery. So my friend put a lot of money in personally to keep the company independent so that they could, for the shareholders, reach its full potential. And so subsequent to the hostile takeover attempt, Hecla had purchased the ground next to Dolly Varden. So it worked the other way around. Dolly Varden project was discovered in the early 1900s. It was actually a former US president, Herbert Hoover, who took the mine into production in 1919, produced for a few years. The biggest production skin was in the 1950s. But it's really sat dormant. And then what I did is I had this vision where I looked at it and I thought, okay, there's 40 million ounces in the ground. If I drilled here and bought that, we could maybe get to 100 million. It's exceeded my expectations by going to 150. But now that I'm really understanding the geology, or I should say my team of scientists are understanding the geology, I think we could actually grow it to maybe 200 million, possibly beyond. It's a rich area that's hosted deposits that have been, 200 million ounces at SK Creek and others. So look, it's Hecla came after we did. But you know what? They're great people. They've been great supporters of mine. They actually, since joining, they've increased their stake in the company from 10% to 15%. We've got a wonderful relationship with them today. And they're going to be up at site here on August 6th, just doing a tour to see how things are going on the drilling side, see if we're making new discoveries. And so they're a partner and they're a great shareholder. And yeah.
If that doesn't signal um, optimism for the property, I don't know what does. I mean, a hostile takeover is hostile, but it also goes to show that a company that has lots of money and is a major producer wants that property. That speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned. So, and now that they're a partner, it's even better. So that's very cool.
And I got to
Wow.
say for all your viewers, because I think it's Andy, you and I have a responsibility to take care of people, right? We have that responsibility. And I got to say, mining's a risky game. Mining's a tough game. You know, you've got the cyclical nature of commodity prices, the ups and downs. And so, you know, I will do my best. I will work as hard as I can. I will bring in the smartest scientists. I will work with the best bankers. I will give you opportunities to win, but there are things in the world that are bigger than me. And that's the price of the commodities. It's what's the endowed in the property, you know, and mining is such a humbling business that, you know, it is fraught with risk. And that's why when I said there is no counterparty risk when you go to Andy and you buy physical. You
Right.
own it. You have it in your hands. But as if you're a speculator, if you want more leverage, that's when you start looking at the royalty companies, the producers, and then companies like mine who are finding and developing this stuff. But I just want to say that I don't want anybody, there's nothing in life is easy. Timing is everything. And, you know, we have no debt and we run a really good business. And since I've taken over, I've delivered a 500% return to my shareholders. And I think there's a long way to go. The company's grown from 20 million to 320 million. So
Wow.
I've added a lot of value. But having said all that, you know, there's risks and you need to understand that. And if you don't want to take risks, buy physical silver, buy physical gold. And then if you want to take some risks, get educated, follow people like Rick Rule and the experts who are vetting these opportunities for you.
That seems to me like you're an expert as well. And but
Yeah.
I agree with everything that you've said today, and I think you've stated it very eloquently. And Jordan, I really appreciate the invite to come join on this show with the both of you.
Yeah.
I've certainly got a lot out of it. I hope other people have too. Hence, like I said, I learned more in 45 minutes from my discussions with Sean than I have in all the years before that. So I hope we can do this again, Sean, sometime
Yeah.
soon. I know we're already going on an hour and 10 minutes. I know you've got things to do as well, but I'd love to pick up where we left off and do this again. I know that I'll be on a show with you here in the near future with Jay Martin. That's one of the two shows, by the way, that I never miss. And I think, Jordan, you should come to this show with me next year in January in Vancouver, the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. It is one of the very best. I go to two. I go to his, I go to Rick's, and it's one you should check out. But I know we're on a show together next week and look forward to that. But I'd love to do this as often as possible. I'd love to come back and be part of what you guys are doing. I think it's really important people understand the benefits of mining shares. I've owned mining shares personally for over 30 years. And I think it's something that people who, to Sean's point, once you have your physical underneath you, having something that will allow you leverage and fantastic upside potential and run by a smart guy like Sean, getting to know what his thoughts are and what his plans are. It's a real benefit to your listeners, Jordan. I hope people
Yeah.
will listen to this and listen to what he has to say because there are fantastic opportunities out there. Let's just be honest. The mining industry has been kind of ignored for a long time. They will have their day, in my opinion, and a property like his ought to do very well. I don't say this for any other reason than I own the shares myself personally. But really, in reality, Sean and I haven't talked too much ever. I spent more time talking with him 3 weeks ago than I have in all the years that I've known him. So this is coming from me personally, and I just think it's important to understand mining shares. So I'm glad that you two have connected, and I appreciate the invite today and love to come back and do it with you guys again sometime soon.